Okay, let's dive right in with a choice. It's a choice so stark it could define everything, your life or your most precious treasure. Now that seems like a simple decision, but as we're about to see, the weight of gold can sometimes be heavier than the will to live.
I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? Of course you'd say your life is more valuable. It's the obvious answer. But what happens when the storm hits? Suddenly, the things we cling to, our possessions, our plans, our pride, they can feel like the only things keeping us afloat, even when they might be the very things pulling us under.
To really wrap our heads around this dilemma, we have to look at a real-life story. It's a tragedy at sea that serves as this haunting lesson about the choices we make when we're under immense pressure. So picture this. It's 1857. The California gold rush is in full swing. The SS Central America, which was literally nicknamed the Ship of Gold, is loaded with tons of treasure. It's carrying these hopeful miners and all their life-changing fortunes back home to New York, but it sails directly into a catastrophic hurricane right off the Carolina coast. Now, as the ship was being torn apart by these massive waves, something absolutely incredible happened. A rescue vessel actually spotted them through the storm and sailed in to help. Salvation was right there, within reach. And yet, despite rescue being so close, over 400 people drowned that day. And most of them were the very same gold miners who had spent years of their lives laboring for the treasure that was on that ship.
So you have to ask, what went wrong? This is the central mystery of the SS Central America. And the answer, well, it reveals something really profound, not just about them, but about human nature itself.
Okay, so why did they sink? The answer is tragically simple, and it uncovers this powerful truth about the invisible weights that can pull every single one of us down.
Can you believe it? The miners, they just couldn't bring themselves to part with the reward for their life's work, so they tied these heavy pouches of gold dust and even gold bars to their bodies. And then they jumped into the violent waves, clinging to the very thing that was guaranteed to pull them straight to the bottom.
It sounds insane, doesn't it, to choose gold over your own life? But think about this quote for a second. It actually comes from a dream someone had about losing their wallet and passport. I'd rather be shot and die than lose it all. In a moment of sheer panic, I think we can all relate to that irrational, powerful feeling that losing our treasure is somehow a fate worse than death.
You see, the miners' treasure was literal gold, but their story is such a perfect metaphor for us. We all have our own version of gold, don't we? Those things we cling to, the attachments that we feel define us, the things we believe we just can't live without.
And this is what that can look like in our lives. Our gold could be something like our pride, that stubborn need to always be right. It could be old grudges that we nurse for years, carrying them around like heavy stones. Or maybe it's our own rigid life plans that we refuse to let go of, even when they're sailing us right into a storm. These are the weights we tie to ourselves.
You know, this human tendency to cling to what destroys us, it isn't new. In fact, there's an ancient text that offers a command that at first sounds really harsh, but it's actually meant to be a lifeline.
In the Gospel of Matthew, we find this famous paradox from Jesus. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it. It sounds completely backward, but when you think about it through the lens of those gold miners, it starts to make a terrifying amount of sense.
And this is the crucial point. Denying yourself isn't about hating yourself or some kind of self-punishment. It's about liberation. It's the act of untying that heavy gold from your waist so you can finally stop sinking and actually swim to safety.
So this isn't just a nice thought or a piece of philosophy. It's framed as a direct warning, like a captain yelling from a rescue ship through a megaphone. It's a crystal clear choice. Let go of the weight or go down with the ship. Now let's look at a powerful example of this principle in action. It involves one of Jesus' closest followers, the disciple Peter, who basically had to face this exact same choice. So the scene is set right after Peter makes one of the most famous declarations of faith in all of history. He gets it right. He correctly identifies Jesus as the Messiah, the Savior. He's at the absolute peak of understanding. But then, Jesus explains that his path involves suffering and death in Jerusalem. And Peter? He immediately grabs him and protests. He's essentially trying to block Jesus' path to protect his own version of how things were supposed to go.
And Jesus' response is just, wow. It is absolutely stunning. He calls his best friend Satan. Why such a severe rebuke? Because Jesus recognized that Peter wasn't just being a concerned friend. He was clinging to his own treasure.
You see, Peter's gold was his ambition. He had left everything to follow this man who he was convinced would become a king. And as Jesus' right-hand man, Peter was probably expecting a pretty glorious position in this new kingdom. If Jesus died, Peter's gold, his personal dream of power, would be lost forever.
So, the story of the miners and the story of Peter, they aren't just historical events. They're mirrors, and they're asking us a very direct and very personal question. And that's what we have to ask ourselves. What is it that we are clinging to so tightly that it's actually weighing us down? What is the treasure that we value more than our own freedom, more than our own spiritual life?
For you, is it your pride? That constant need to win every single argument? Or is it a grudge, a hurt from the past that you just refuse to release? Maybe it's a personal ambition that looks really good on the outside, but secretly, it's all about you. Or maybe it's just a deep fear of letting go and losing control.
And so we come right back to that first simple question. The story of the ship of gold isn't just a historical tragedy, it's a question for all of us. When your storm comes and the water is rising, you will have to choose. What dead weight are you willing to let go of to grab the lifeline?